It's the start of another fantastic week here on Ballito TV's morning show, GMNC. I am Prathisha Singh, your anchor for today's show. Heili and Deon let us know what's in the surf and weather front this morning, followed by the lovely Claudia Greenwood, who will be sharing her daily dose of inspiration. Neville Wolmarans from Ndlondlo Reptile Park wraps up his previous conversations on snake bites and the different types of venom. Our lineup will then move on to Azande Ndebele from Shlobo Designs, and then Belinda Naidoo and Warwick Chapman from KZN Care Association. Kirsten Hunneyball from Intuitive Eating and Recovery, she is a recovery coach from that eating disorders. She will be joining us to chat about those interesting topics. Sports anchor Matt Williams takes over the chair to give us a roundup of all things sport, before Jean Bakker features Rhaap with a music video. And then stay tuned after the show. Laugh Out Larry is unfortunately on a production break. Performance Coffee, would like to thank them. They're an authorized dealer for Dura coffee machines and Salt Rock Coffee as our morning show coffee sponsors. Let's head over to Heili and Deon for the weather and surf report this morning.
Good morning everyone and welcome to your weather for today, brought to you by Ballito Gas and Brine. It will be cloudy, humid and warmer today with a high of 28 degrees and a low of 17 degrees. The real feel will be 29 degrees and the real feel shade 27 degrees. We have an east-northeasterly wind at 17 kilometers per hour and wind gusts at 30 kilometers per hour. Also 25% chance of showers today. The sunrise will be at 4:57 a.m. and the sunset at 6:22 p.m. Pretoria meestal bewolk vandag, nie te warm nie en 'n donderstorm later vanmiddag with a high of 27 degrees and a low of 16 degrees, and then Joburg some sun, then turning cloudy and not as warm. Also a thunderstorm in the afternoon is expected over there with a high of 25 degrees and a low of 12 degrees. And then Cape Town ook bewolk with a shower in some places, and the high will be 19 degrees and a low 13 degrees. Hey, 'n lekker bewolkte maandag. Next up will be your surf report, brought to you by 10 skryfbehoeftes and Deon from Victory Surf. Enjoy your day and we'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning, Ballito, and welcome to Monday morning's beach report. And it's another stunning day out there with light variable winds and some great surf around. Just a little bit full on the higher tide and nothing really breaking on the full tides because we've just had spring tides. But on the outgoing tide, there's definitely some 2-3 foot peaks at all the beaches. Keep a lookout for those around midday as the tide gets low around that time. And then late this afternoon, we've got another southwesterly arriving for the evening, and it'll bring a little bit of rain with it as well. So there's patches of rain this morning still, but very light conditions, very light breezes, and some good surf around on the lower tide. Enjoy your Monday. We'll chat again tomorrow.
Welcome back to GMNC on this gorgeous Monday morning, and to get your week off to the best start, we have the lovely Claudia Greenwood. Welcome, Claudia.
Hi, Prathisha.
It's such a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you. Always on a Monday morning, hey?
Yes, and we're talking great things this morning, life-changing things.
Life-changing things, absolutely. Prathisha, today we're going to talk about perfectionism. And it's quite an interesting topic, which we could spend a lot of time on, but obviously we've got to keep it quite short. So people often think or have referred to perfectionism in the context of something very good. It's a good standard you set and so on. But what is perfectionism really? You know, if we think about it, perfectionism is really the refusal to actually accept anything unless it's perfect. But the question is, what is perfect?
And who is perfect?
And who is perfect? And when is a perfect moment? And when is a perfect time? And when do you reach that point? So let's just unpack it a little bit. Perfectionism on a positive side, where it could be a strength, is when it pushes you to achieve higher goals. It's success related. Okay, so it's success orientated, and it's all about improving and advancing and growing and creating and doing something better. And I'm sure you'll agree that that sounds good. I mean, that's,
of course that is.
that's
You're always
positive,
aspiring
right?
to be better.
Yes, of course. And we encourage one another to do that, you know, and where's the inspiration and the motivation to do better and raise the bar and raise the standard and do something more. So we acknowledge that that's all very well and good. What we need to become aware of is what is the other side of perfectionism, the shadow side, which isn't so good. Okay, that's a side that is failure based. All right, so it's failure orientated, it's fear of failing, fear of not being good enough. There's a lot of judgment that goes on, because when we imagine, you know, you either have to submit something that you've got a deadline to achieve, or you have something you're creating, or
any task really.
Really any task in any area of your life, in fact. Okay, what do you actually do? We say, oh, I need to do it at this standard. All right. And then when you get to that point, you relook at it and you say, but is this okay? Or maybe I should just do this, or maybe I should just add that. And what's at the base of that is a lot of self-judgment and criticism, which again, we encourage people to say, just have a look at, can you do better? And we encourage children to do that.
And not let this perfectionism kind of hold you back, because sometimes it actually prevents you from taking action, right?
Exactly. And
you actually don't do anything because you want to be so perfect and you want to have all your ducks in a row.
100%. And that's when you actually slow yourself down. So the downside of the perfectionism approach is it stops you from actually moving forward. You start missing deadlines. You put yourself under pressure. And as a result of all of those things, you start questioning yourself. And you start asking yourself, you know what, am I a failure? I can't do this. Am I being judged? What will people think of me now? And when we go into that mindset and that internal chatter, it results in anxiety. You're under pressure. You start becoming anxious.
You actually lose your focus completely. Because now you're worrying about all these things that you actually shouldn't be thinking about. But you're thinking about that instead of doing what you need to do.
Of course. Right? And then what ends up happening is you're caught up in these emotions. It's actually gone as far as people becoming depressed and being suicidal, because they just talk themselves down so much because they can't be perfect. And who sets the bar? You know, often we set that bar ourselves. So what I find with this type of internal processing that we do about ourselves is that if people don't recognize that, they actually stop themselves and get themselves in such a rut that they can't get out of it on their own. So it's very important to reflect on yourself and see what is at the base of my so-called perfectionism. Why do I want to achieve more? Why do I want to do? Is it really because I just want to expand and grow and create and do something amazing? Or is it because I'm judging myself, or I don't want to fail in whose eyes, mine or others?
What's actually stopping me?
Exactly. So I think that's the first.
You had a beautiful quote, before you forget and before your time's up, about 80%, and unless it's, do you want to tell us about that quote?
Yes. When
I read it, I was like, wow.
Prathisha, so, okay, in life, there are things that are non-negotiable. Okay, so if it's a matter of life and death,
right,
I'd say 100% is what we need. Okay,
right. So if you're operating on someone's heart, or you're doing something of that sort, come on.
That's not negotiable. Okay, so we acknowledge that, and there are a lot of other instances where that applies. But generally speaking, when you reach your 80%, tell yourself, you know what, 80% is good enough. Let me submit this. Let me do this. Let me move on. Okay, because you're never going to satisfy yourself and other people if you carry on judging yourself. So I think with that message, leaving the viewers out there, and all of us actually, 80% is good enough. You know what, you've always got time to change it and whatever in the future. Go with it, trust yourself. You've got it in you to do things, and you probably, the 80% is probably amazing that you're doing anyway.
And the thing is, when things don't turn out perfectly, the 100% that we want, we actually realize what good we got out of the 80%. How it just worked out that much better, actually.
Exactly.
In hindsight, you know.
Of course. And become more creative after that. And it's okay. Take it as, you know, life is an experiment, isn't it?
I agree.
Let's go with it. Let's have some fun and not be caught up in, this label that we give ourselves all the time.
Thank you for that, Claudia. That was a super message to start the week off on a doing front,
Great. Thanks,
Just
Prathisha.
stop waiting, people, and get going. You are perfect anyway.
Yes.
So stay tuned after the break because we will be chatting to Neville from Ndlondlo Reptile Park.
Arms around me like a border, like the air I breathe. I let you in, keep me warm underneath my skin. 'Cause I'm giving in to your touch. I can never get enough. Diving deep into the ocean.
Welcome back to GMNC this morning, and I hope you're feeling as inspired as I am. Here with me is Neville from the Reptile Park. Let's chat with Neville. Good morning, Neville. How are you?
Good morning. Well, and yourself?
Good, thank you.
Oh,
So
great.
we're recapping for the viewers on the different types of venoms, right?
Yeah,
this morning?
the break was kind in a degree, but it sort of lapsed the memory a bit, so let's just refresh. And I'm just going to go as far as the 3 different types of venom
Okay.
and how they affect the body. And so we'll start with the danger boy, the neurotoxins that work rapidly. They're not potentially the most venomous, but they work rapidly.
And they affect the nervous system, right?
They affect the nervous system, and they slow you down very, very quickly.
Okay.
And then you go down to the cytotoxins, which in our area is just the Mozambique spinning cobra and the night adder.
Just.
Well, in other areas it gets a lot worse than that.
Okay.
So we're blessed. And those guys are the pain merchants.
Okay.
Yeah, they inflict pain, that hurts, and you very quickly realize what that's all about. And then the hemotoxins, which lull you into this false sense of security, thinking that you're fine because there doesn't appear to be any symptoms and so on.
Yes.
And then it comes back, and it becomes like no offense, folks, please don't be offended. It's like your mother-in-law. Okay? It's endless baggage. It sits with you for years afterwards. Okay, so, yeah.
So the side effects kind of are longer lasting. So you might not feel it immediately.
Yes, you can be out of danger within maybe 14, 15 days. You can be out of danger,
Okay.
but it's still going to sit with you for a long time.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a long recovery period.
So it gives you a false sense of I'm fine,
Yeah.
but you're not really.
You're not.
Okay.
And then just what is the procedures if you do get bitten?
Do they differ with different, obviously different type of bite that you've had? Or is it
Yeah,
a similar
you know,
protocol?
most people see a bite as just 2 punctures,
Yes.
only with mambas and stiletto snakes.
So mostly it would look the same.
Most snakes would look the same. Bottom jaw, top and jaw engagement, so plenty teeth marks. You can't be bitten by a snake and wonder, was that a snake bite?
You would
you
know.
You would know.
Right.
And yeah, so you know, the important thing with a snake bite is not to panic, number one. And number two
Or
is
if you do get over it quickly, right?
get over it quickly. Yeah, you just need to sit back and say, well, all right, I've been bitten by a snake. What can I do about it? Is
Yes.
panic going to help? No, it's not going to help. I need to now execute,
Right.
you see? And then, you know, if you're unsure what bit you, you treat every snake bite as though it was an extreme medical emergency.
Okay.
And that's just erring on the safety side. That's the perfection that Claudia's speaking about, you know? There's no room for error there.
Okay. We need 100% there.
You
of
need
course.
100% there, absolutely. And then you need to get yourself to a facility. Please don't go to your GP,
Okay.
okay? A, is not equipped to deal with it, and B, it's not within the spectrum of knowledge. This is a specialist treatment,
Okay.
and the best place to go to is your ER, emergency room, your trauma unit. Those are the guys that deal with the snake bites.
Okay.
And they've got a team that is really sharp and they know exactly what to do when you get in
So
there.
they'll be able to treat you quickly
Yeah.
and with the right kind of treatment.
Yes.
Okay.
And the sooner you get that treatment, the quicker you recover.
Okay. So it's quite crucial to
Quite
get
crucial.
somebody to the right place within, you know, the shortest time.
Yes. So,
Could we call you by any chance?
yes, you can.
Okay. That's good to know.
We sometimes organize things for people that are in a panic.
Yes.
So we would say, listen, all right, just get to Albalito. We would then make the arrangements with Albalito Trauma Unit to make sure that they are aware that there's a snake bite victim coming in.
Well, that's fantastic. And,
And,
you will be able to tell them more than a person that just got bitten by a snake would. I mean, if I saw my child bitten by a snake, I would probably be freaking out. So it would be great to, I mean, call you guys because you're literally up the road from us and you'd be able to do that, facilitate that process for us,
Yeah,
making it as easy as possible.
yeah, and we've done that.
So then we'd have to put your phone number on a name card everywhere around Belita, right?
Yeah, I can go into the hardware store and they ask for my number and they ask, oh no, sorry, I've got it on speed dial. You know, so yes, it should be there.
Well, thank you for that this morning, Neville. Before you wrap up, I know you have a new website coming along and things at the park. Do you want to keep us a bit updated?
Sugar Rush is actually updating their website,
Okay.
and obviously we're going to be on that website, and so yes, if you want to check us out, then that's one of the places to go. A lot of exciting stuff happening. We just did venom extraction from a vine snake for research purposes.
Nice.
Quite an interesting process, quite different to other venom extractions that I've ever done. Yeah, and of course there's snakes in the city on the go, so
So you guys are
guys,
pretty busy.
yeah, just remember guys, if there is a call for a snake, you can phone them directly, but you're going to get a voicemail sending you back to me. Okay?
Okay.
So just give us a call. We know where the guys are. We've got their private numbers, and we can respond appropriately immediately. So we can tell you, guys, the oaks are down in a Mansman Toti. You've got the black mamba crossing your front yard. I'm sorry, we're coming. You know?
Yes. I mean, safety first.
Safety first. Let's deal with it, prioritize and deal with it.
Thank you, Neville. Thank you for joining us. It was as informative as it usually is.
Super.
Stay tuned, guys. Next up after the break will be Azande from Shlobo Designs.
Finlay Fuel and Belito TV are proud to announce that when joining the Finlay Fuel program that offers you a cashback benefit on your monthly fuel spend at BP service stations countrywide, you're not only saving a whopping 70 cents per litre on diesel and 13 cents per litre on petrol, but a portion of your spend is also donated to charity. charities selected quarterly so that we spread the love as best we can. Submit your registered charities details by 27 September to hello@belito.tv and your charity could be the fortunate recipient of a donation at the end of this year. Take advantage of this double whammy opportunity of saving and donating all in one by signing up on www.finlayfuel.co.za.
Welcome back to GMNC. I hope you're having a fantastic morning with us. And as a little treat, we're going to be tapping into Shlobo designs. Can you see the beautiful Azande over here? Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. So based on our chat this morning, Shlobo Designs has quite a bit to offer, and as we can see.
Yeah.
But before we get into all of that, tell us a bit about Azande.
Azande, obviously, she's from Durban, 15 years of experience in the bank.
Okay, so you worked in the bank?
Yeah, I did, in the financial sector, but then we got retrenched. Little did I know that at that time, this time around, it was actually a blessing, because now I've started training and upskilling women that are just not working at this time, and giving them, actually developing them and giving them a sustainable income so that they don't have to depend on anybody but on themselves.
So tell us a bit more about how did you get into it? I mean, working on the finance side to now this creative genius that you've turned into.
So I actually didn't do designing.
How did we get there?
Really, I actually didn't do designing, which is very weird because I'm such a creative.
Right.
So after we got retrenched, my aunt's friend she got a grant from an organization in a financial sector, and so my aunt was like, Azande, you're such a creative and you've got such a bubbly personality, you can't be wasting that and sitting at home. What is it that you can do?
Right.
And so what I did, I just walked around, drove around. So in Adam's Mission by Emanzimtoti, South Coast side, I had to go and do a bit of a due diligence around there, and I saw that the women around there, they're very good with beadwork, they're good with pottery, they're good with their hands. And I was like, okay, fine, I love this, you know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to learn from them, and then from there I will go and teach people from the skills that they've given me. So
Yes.
in the midst, or in the interim of all that, while they're teaching me, or while I'm just working with them, I'm paying them at the side, you know, from the grant. So it shows that whatever that we've taught them, and whatever skills that they have bestowed upon me, I would actually pay them, and then they will have a sustainable income. So everything that they will do their beadwork, and I'll be like, give it to me, don't leave it there, give it to me and I'll do it for you. And then a lot of things that I do, because of the humidity in Durban, you find that you've got those shoes that you really love, or your bag that has sentimental values. It was a gift. So I even cover those into your authentic and your uniqueness, you know. So it actually expands just from beadwork into a lot of things, like everything that I have on except for the shoes. It's Shlobo designs. It's something that I've made.
Talk about that, how you mix it up with, your workwear, and because I've seen pictures and I was like, I can wear that.
Exactly.
You know?
So Shlobo, I think that's where we need to start. Shlobo means, it's a Zulu word. It's marrying cultures together. If I had to marry in your culture, I'm building with Shlobo. So I'm marrying cultures together to bring out a product. So that means I don't have to wear beads and then wear a whole full Zulu attire. Yes. So I'm zhuzhing. I always say Shlobo is zhuzhing your outfits. So, and even if you go international, I know a lot of people, they do research. So what is it? What is so authentic? What is the richness about KZN? And it's the beadwork. So if you go in the United States, in London, wherever, in Europe, they see you wearing beads, they'll be like automatically, I think we know where you're from. You're from Durban.
So you carry a piece of you without being the piece.
Exactly, yeah.
That's epic,
so
it's really, it's very individualized.
Yeah, it's more of the authentic side of things, and just knowing who you are and just being proud of where you come from as a person.
And in terms of growth for you, what was it like going back and learning this new skill? And
for me, the fulfilling part of it is there's somebody who's actually getting an income out of everything. So that's my growth. And also going into studying about it. So what I've always said to people is, first you need to be healthy, not like physically gymming or whatever. Okay, obviously you have to be healthy emotionally, intellectually, for your business to be healthy. Because once you're healthy, you attract investors. You don't have to go and knock on doors. So if you're healthy, as in going to doing research, finding more about designing, finding more about what you're doing, it's actually going to show on your business. And when you are there, you will attract good people and good investors.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned it was a bit of a healing journey for you in the beginning.
Yeah, it is, because I come from, you know, when you grow up, you get those abusive relationships then, and that's when I really realized that that's why a lot of women out there, they get abused and they still sit and they keep quiet about it, because they're depending so much on their partner. Yes. So I'm trying to break that and say, listen, you can look after yourself, you know, and get out of that ugly situation. What is it that you can do? I can give you a skill. Give me what you have, let me buy it from you and put food on the table, and stop depending on somebody else who's really abusing you in all sectors.
I love your message, and I love what you stand for.
Thank you.
The woman empowerment side of it is really amazing.
Yeah, because that's what I'm actually going to be doing. I'm starting next year to be full-time in just teaching, you know, and facilitating and saying, this is what we can do with our hands, and this is our gift. Forget about the machinery right now, because most of my things are handmade. Forget about the machinery right now if you don't have funds to go and purchase that. Work with your hands, the machinery will find you while you're so busy.
And you're giving them a platform. Like, I mean, people could make stuff but then have nowhere to sell it. So
yeah, so I'm like, give it to me and we'll go for a market, and I'll definitely pay you for what you've given me.
Of course. I love it. And let's talk a bit now about the actual merchandise. So I've seen gorgeous bags. Yeah. I've seen beads on your website. Yes. But like I mentioned before, for me, it's the whole collaboration, because you could be there in a suit and then have like that necklace chain thing on that you have. And that's amazing. Or the earrings. Yeah. Or just the beads. It goes really well.
It goes really well. I think it's also the creative, because I see, it runs in the family, because I see my niece, who's 8 years, she actually did the earrings for me, and she does all the beads and the watches and everything. So like I said, I really do think it was a God-given, it is a God-given talent, because I would actually dream about it sometimes. So even if you are talking to me, like as I'm going to a wedding, this is what I'm going to be wearing, I start sketching, but I didn't even go to school for that. I start sketching and I start seeing this big thing, and you know, and I know, and I've dressed a lot of people. I've dressed, you know, the Coming to America Part 2 sequel. Yes. I've dressed the lady Nomsamo Mbata.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been on the top billing, dressed an international renowned.
She opened with the stuff, Azande.
You know, so I've got shops around here as well,
Nice.
where people can get me. I'm busy with we're actually reconstructing our websites because I actually want to do online. And I do even international. Sometimes I've got a shop in Munich, Germany, out of India, where I'm supplying. So I do a lot of consignments as well, because when you do consignments, you avoid overheads. You know what we've been going through, the looting, the COVID. Can you imagine? And I had a shop there, and I couldn't be able to pay for the rent and everything because of everything that has been happening. So it's better if it's consignments. You get more than one streams of income, because that's what I'm thinking of. I remember the
Makes sense,
president
and
even
you've
said,
really, really expanded.
Yeah.
I mean, I could chat to you about the women empowerment all
I
day.
know, and that's my passion right there.
And you can see it, and I guess talent comes out, if you're following your
Yeah,
heart, like
yeah.
you said, and that inner guidance, which
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Thank you.
But Azande, where can we get hold of you? Can you just tell the viewers before we have to bid you goodbye until
It's
next
fine.
time?
It's fine. On the social media handles, on IG, which is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's either Azande at Azande Ndebele or Shlobo Designs. May I please spell that? It's SHLOBO Designs. It's one word. And from there, it's actually a link to my WhatsApp. And
awesome.
my email address is Azande Ndebele 02
And we will
at
have
gmail.com.
all those links up on
Yes,
screen, so
definitely.
don't
Yeah.
worry about the spelling and all of
Okay,
that. They will
okay.
have everything, and you guys know where to get hold of the fabulous Azande and those awesome designs. Please stay tuned, because after the break, we'll be chatting to Belinda and Warwick from KZN Care Association.
Hi Belito, I'm Tanya. I'm the lady from So It Seems Vanina in Belito. You can find us in Richard Park, right across from the Hirsch. The new shop, it's 3 times bigger than the old shop. We have lots more fabric, a lot more haberdashery items. If you can't sew, I will teach you how to sew. I have an additional teacher that helps us sew, and we have a fabulous space upstairs. Looking for a Benina machine or a Bonnet? I will sort you out with that one. In this little area, we do everything. We service the sewing machine, we service the overlocker. We fix it up for you. Within a week, you'll have it back. While you go through the pattern books, we have a coffee shop in-house called Buttonless Coffee. You can have a coffee or a snack to eat while you do your pattern searching, fabric searching, or sewing upstairs with us. See you soon!
welcome back to GMNC this morning. And now we're off to more serious topics. We've got Belinda, Naidoo and Warwick from the KZN Care Association. Good morning. It's such a pleasure to have you both in studio.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
So Warwick, you mentioned you could tell us a bit about how you guys have evolved, how you started.
Sure. The KZN Care Association was previously known as Natal Settlers Memorial Homes. It's in Ndlondlo in Durban, and it was founded in the 50s based on a grant from the municipality back then. And it's a bit of a strange organization in that it's a voluntary association. So all the people who live there are actually the voting members who vote on an executive committee who appoint people like Belinda to run the place. And it looks after between 300 and 400 people who are quite frankly at the margins of society. There are people living with severe mental disabilities. There is a very large frail care section.
Okay.
So if you think of someone who's frail and finds themselves in a position where they have no idea where to go next for care, Natal Settlers or KZN Care Association ends up being that place. And then there are people who couldn't find themselves another kind of retirement village or something like that, and so they take up some of the retirement spots at the KZN Care Association. It's an absolutely essential organization, and we've seen over the past decade or so how other similar organizations across the province have failed. And sometimes, I mean, this happened maybe 2 days after Belinda took her role several years ago. I think it was Zibambeleni in the West Durban area shut down. And from one day to the next, the team had to take on 75 frail care patients,
It is such
transport them and house them.
It's such an imperative function in society. I mean, the need is definitely there, but how do you guys actually cope? Like, what type of help do you have with taking care of people with mental disabilities and things like that? How do you cope?
Okay, so we are partly subsidized by the Department of Social Development. They cover part of the cost towards the care. We have families that contribute, and then we also look at the public for support. So the organization needs to find at least 20% of the running costs in order to survive.
And those costs are tremendous, I can only imagine.
It's huge. I'll give you an example. We're currently struggling with 500,000 rands a month towards our utility bills.
Sure.
So it's not an easy task to do and to manage month to month.
Definitely. And in terms of people resources, do you have enough people to help you?
We have a staff complement of 172, most of which are actual hands-on nursing team.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because we do provide 24-hour nursing care for our residents. We have a pool of supporters and donors that are loyal and have seen us through some of our very, very difficult times. And yeah, it's the public that we're looking to in order to get the support.
And is there criteria that, to take someone on, or do they have to meet certain requirements?
Yes, they do. We generally look at people that are over 60 in order to qualify for our older person sector. And then we would take people on with varying levels of disabilities. Interesting enough for our organization is that we also have a unit that houses 36 children and young people with severe cerebral palsy. So we're a very diverse community all on one particular site. And we offer varying levels of care packages to meet the different needs of our beneficiaries.
The work is remarkable. I mean, it takes special kind of people to be doing work like this. So let's talk about the two of you, since you are here on the hot seat. What got you guys into it? What's the drive for you?
About a decade ago, I found myself as the elected ward councillor in the Greenwood area in Durban, and I kept hearing complaints about this organization that was supposedly being badly run, maladministered, whatever. So I inserted myself into an AGM, and I just saw the sham for what it was. The chairperson was about to be appointed a contract by himself to service the home. And there were no elections or anything. They just kind of announced the new executive committee. So I basically inserted myself and took over control of the executive committee. We did an audit. We found rampant corruption. We fired a whole bunch of people. We searched high and low and found an expert, qualified in the social welfare sector, and that was Belinda. And for the past 8 odd years, Belinda has been, quite frankly, implementing a remarkable turnaround, not only in the financial management of the organization,
Yes.
and we can see that by the credibility that we have with many institutional donors who help us with project funding, which we've had a lot of good support for. What we're talking about now is operational funding that we need. But also the level of care that's been provided, which is actually what we're there for. So a huge emphasis on managing the levels of care provided and making sure that there's consequence management where staff don't deliver on the expected levels of care.
Yes.
We had,
So Belinda, you're the one that cracks the whip.
when it comes to care, absolutely. And I think we probably had about 220 staff at the biggest, so also paring that staff complement down to something that's a bit more appropriate to what the home can manage on a day-to-day basis without compromising care.
Definitely. And then Belinda, I mean, we chatted about how you guys changed lives, and I'm sure you have stories coming out of your ears with that. But you guys took a big hit with COVID, right?
We did. So if we go back a little bit, we took a hit in 2017. So the organization started a nursing training program in order to sustain the home, in order to supplement the income so we could provide the services that we need. There were regulation changes in terms of the accreditation for nursing training, and that put us on a real bad spot. And it was at that point we were making hard decisions of where we are and how we continue to keep our doors open. And it took the executive committee and our management team and the staff to turn the whole situation around. We reached a point where we were breaking even. We even started to put some money aside in terms of our financial reserves, and then 2019 came and COVID arrived.
Gosh.
Yeah, and that was serious impact on the financial reserves of the organization. On the one hand, we had to cancel training programs because of the hard lockdown. During lockdown, we didn't have the luxury of shutting our doors and going home.
Of course.
So we had to keep our doors open, we had to keep services going, and for that I had 73 staff who raised their hands and said, we live on site.
Wow.
In order to make sure that our residents had food and care and day-to-day needs were being met. But that meant a huge financial drain on the organization as well.
Of course.
We had unbudgeted expenses in terms of PPE, COVID protocols. It was huge. The positive on that was that out of 300 residents, we only had 3 positive cases amongst our whole population, and we were able to manage
Contain
to
it,
contain it. Further to that, we had to cancel all our fundraising activities because of that. We also there was a moratorium on admission, so all our vacant beds was vacant for the whole year and a half, which obviously meant the impact on the finances. So we find ourselves in a very critical situation at the moment, and yeah, we're looking to.
Can you tell us how can we help you? You know, what do you need before?
Our immediate priority right now is to raise 800,000 rands.
Okay.
And we're inviting companies to join our journey, a once-off donation, and we're inviting families. You know, whatever is affordable to them, individuals. Please know that we are 18A certified, so we will be able to provide a tax certificate to companies and individuals. And it's just that kind of support that we're looking to get from the public.
And I saw that's very easy to do on your website as well.
Yes.
I mean, you literally click a button and you're good to go.
So if
with
you visit
different
our
options.
website, there's so many different ways you can get involved, and so many different, you know, it's about affordability as well. We know the whole world has been affected
hit by COVID, yes.
Has been hit. So over and above that, skills, volunteers, any form of donations are always welcome.
We're a lovely community out here, so I'm sure you're going to get a lot of a lot of help and support. Our community usually does get involved, but you guys do remarkable work, and thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure chatting with you
having
both.
us.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very
Stay
much.
tuned, guys. After the break, we're going to be chatting to Kirsten Hunneyball, and she's going to be chatting about eating disorders and the relationship we share with food. Welcome back to GMNC. I hope you're having a lovely morning, and in studio with me is Kirsten, and we're going to be chatting all things food, one of our favorite topics, right? Hi Kirsten, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me here.
I believe it's your second time on the show, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you know the drill.
Yes.
But for those of us that don't know you, including me, you do intuitive eating.
Yes.
Right? So they're basically the relationship between food and your inner
Self,
self, right?
Yeah, yes.
So that's what we're chatting about.
Yeah.
So, Kirsten, why is this personal to you, you know?
Okay, so I have a history of an eating disorder, of anorexia and bulimia and exercise addiction.
Okay.
And that pretty much got me to my rock bottom in life. And when I was 22, I decided to change that. And pretty much for the past 7 or 8 years, that's kind of been my journey to find healing from this thing that bogged me down and ruined my life, and then to help other people find that healing as well. Because
ruined your life and now turned out to be the biggest gift, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think you take your biggest downfall and you make it your biggest accomplishment or achievement. And so I also understand and recognize how difficult it is to overcome a negative relationship to food in your body. So there's a lot of people out there, I mean, even psychologists phoning me saying, I don't know how to help this person, you know. So I think it's important to have a person who has walked the walk,
Definitely.
who knows how to get into the mind of the people that they're helping, so that they can really just help transform their lives. So that's why I'm super passionate about it.
I can see that. But apart from that side of you, are you from around Ballito area? Can you tell us a bit about you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm originally from Port Elizabeth. Then I went to study in Grahamstown, but I dropped out there because of the eating problems.
Right.
And I got well when I came to Durban. And then from Durban, I moved to Ballito. And now I'm based here. So I've been in KZN for about 6 years.
It's awesome to have you here then.
Thank you. Oh, and I have an office in St. BT Office Park for people who want to do face-to-face consultations.
We're definitely going to be chatting about that and
Yeah.
the different things that you offer, because I mean it extends beyond eating disorders, right?
Yes. So I mean, I think every single human being has a relationship to food and their body, and it's a continuum. Some people have maybe a little bit of struggle on a day-to-day basis or every now and then. Some people go through phases, and other people have this completely gripping illness of an eating disorder, whether it's overeating, binge eating, anorexia, exercise addiction, bulimia, whatever it is.
Right.
And so I believe that you don't necessarily have to have an eating disorder in order to seek help through your relationship with food and your body.
How can we identify that, Kirsten? How do we know if we have a bad relationship with food?
So I think the first most noticeable thing is in your behavior. So if you're finding that you are continuously overeating or undereating or something like that, then that's quite a visual indicator that other people can see, right?
Right.
But I think on a personal level, the way that you can identify whether it's a problem is if it's occupying more space than it should be in your mind, and if it's making the rest of your life unmanageable.
So say you have a dinner coming up with family, but you're stressing, what am I going to eat?
100%.
How am I going to eat in front of everyone? Those kind of thoughts, right?
Yeah, or like, how am I going to resist overeating, or, you know, whatever. I believe that the thinking behind what's happening with the eating process or the food and body process is definitely the most important indicator on a personal level to recognize within yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of things, if you have a good relationship with food, what would that look like?
So a healthy relationship.
Or where would you take people to, sorry?
Oh, okay.
From, starting from a terrible eating disorder that's kind of taking over your life.
Yes.
So I know you have a program which we're going to talk about, but what is the end result? Where can we get people to? What does a good relationship with food look like?
So the end result is basically the ability to eat freely in a balanced way with no rigidity or extremes.
Okay.
So I'm against diets and all of that kind of stuff. I believe that when you eat, you should eat when you're hungry, and you should stop when you're moderately full. You should be able to allow yourself treats and not treats, and salads and pizzas and whatever, and have this balance and basically consistent sound nutrition where you're not working yourself up emotionally with an attachment to this idea of food. So it's basically, food is there to be enjoyed.
Right.
It's there to have it, you experience joy when you with family or whatever. But then outside of the food time, it shouldn't occupy your space and time, you know, in mentally.
You shouldn't be worrying about it.
Yes, yeah. So basically it's freedom from the mental attachment that comes with a rigid expectation that we formulated for ourselves with food in our bodies. So yeah.
It's quite a bit of mindfulness. So it's right up my alley. I love it.
Definitely.
And so you mentioned you have a program. About how long is the program?
Okay.
Or does it vary from person to person?
Yeah, so I mean, for eating disorders specifically, I run a 6-month program. It's quite intensive. So it's formulated with a ebook that I've written with 6 themes that I've identified that most people struggle with eating issues.
Right.
And that goes over 6 months with one-on-one coaching sessions, and then WhatsApp check-ins on a daily basis in a structured way. So there are boundaries set in place for
Of
that
course.
relationship. But
Yes.
but yeah, that is the minimum that I believe a person who's trying to fix their relationship to food should be working on it. And that is a 6-month course. But there's other things for people. I mean, some people don't have fully fledged eating disorders.
Yes.
Maybe they just want to assess their relationship to food in their body, and then they can come for a few coaching sessions or see which package kind of suits their needs the most.
and get a feel for you and how,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
how it would
definitely.
work.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And where can people get, you mentioned you have a place in Mbiti.
Yes, so I have an Instagram page. It's Kirsten Hunneyball, just that straight name, and then my website www.kirstenhuneyball.co.za, and then my Facebook page, and obviously email, and then I have an office at Mbiti Office Park for people who want to do face-to-face consultations, but people who aren't in KZN generally do online.
I think that's the way forward now,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing your journey with us. And I mean, your work is like seriously life-changing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you.
Stay tuned. Next up after this ad will be Matt with our sports roundup.
Freshly ground, not capsuled. Coffee pleasure from Euro.
Dear Mom, you're my best friend, okay? You're the funniest person I've met in the whole world. But you're so bad at hiding. You do make the best brownies though. I love it when we go riding together. When I'm older, I want to be pretty like you. Happy birthday, Mom.
This sports segment is proudly brought to you by Hunt Properties. Morning, sports fans. Let's kick it off with some football news. And Jurgen Klopp was furious with officials after West Ham punished 3 mistakes from Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson Becker and ended the Reds' 25-match unbeaten run with a 3-2 victory on Sunday. Klopp's side would have broken the club's record unbeaten run in all competitions, which stood since 1982, if they had avoided defeat at the London Stadium. But Alisson's disastrous display condemned Liverpool to a first loss since the last loss against Real Madrid way back in the Champions League quarter-final first leg match in April. In other selected results, Southampton 1, Aston Villa 0, Man United 0, Man City 2, 1, Burnley 1, Leeds 1, Leicester City 1, Everton and Spurs playing to a goalless draw, and Arsenal going above Man United with a 1-0 victory against Watford. Moving to some local football news now, Mamelodi Sundowns will go into the November international break, holding a 5-point lead atop the 2021-22 DStv Premiership standings. The Brazilians built on their unbeaten start to their campaign with a 4-0 thumping of Marumo Gallants in Polokwane on Sunday evening. Themba Zwane, Peter Shalolile with 2, and Pavlo Safranco on target for the defending champions, who are yet to concede a goal this season. Gallants, who remain rooted to the bottom of the league standings, are still waiting for their first ever top flight win. In selected results from the DStv Premiership on Friday evening, SuperSport United defeating TX Galaxy 2-1. Kaizer Chiefs doing the business over Orlando Pirates in the Soweto Derby, also 2-1. Royal AM and Baroka FC playing to a 1-0 draw, and Amazulu 2 strong for Cape Town City with a 2-0 victory. Moving to some rugby news now, and a driving maul try from Malcolm Marx with 8 minutes to go, and then a penalty from Elton Yankees on the stroke of full time clinched the Springboks a nail-biting 23-18 win over Wales. in their first match of the Autumn Nations Series at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff on Saturday. The game was played in persistent rain due to the COVID-inspired directive for the roof on the stadium to remain open, but for a long time it looked like the 8-year book drought at the venue might continue. It wasn't so much that the books were very poor, but the strange game and the referee and assistant referee joining in the Welsh defence in thwarting the world champions in the first half, and it wasn't until marks went over in the 73rd minute that the books were ahead in the game. In other international results, quite a few results to look into, and Ireland doing the business over Japan, 60 points to 5. Italy at home going down to the All Blacks, 47-9. England far too strong for Tonga with a 69-3 win. France getting one over the Argentinians, 29-20. And a big game yesterday, a great victory for Scotland, 15-13 over the Wallabies. Moving to some cricket news now, as we move over the disappointment of the Proteas not qualifying for the T20 World Cup semi-finals. Some results to look at from yesterday, and also heartbreak for Indian fans as New Zealand defeated Afghanistan by 8 wickets, which meant that India were knocked out of the tournament, no longer able to qualify for the semi-finals, and Pakistan continued their strong run with victory by 72 runs over Scotland. Just one match to look forward to today at 4 p.m. as India take on Namibia in what is a dead rubber. And the semi-finals later in the week on Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. it's England against New Zealand. And then the second semi-final on Thursday, also starting at 4 in the afternoon, it's Pakistan against Australia. Moving to some golf news now. In Belgium, Thomas Pieters fired a 3-under par 68 in the final round of the Portugal Masters on Sunday to clinch the title by 2 strokes for his 5th European Tour crown. The 29-year-old came into the final round at the Dom Pedro Victoria Golf Course in Villamora, sharing the lead with France's Matteo Pavon, but began with a bogey on the first hole before recovering with an eagle on the 5th. He carded birdies before and after the turn and followed that with another bogey, but gained a stroke in the penultimate hole before finishing 19 under for the tournament. Moving to some Formula One news now, Max Verstappen cruised to victory at the Mexican Grand Prix on Sunday, leaving defending champion Lewis Hamilton to admit the Red Bull's car was far superior. Hamilton clung on to finish second in his Mercedes, holding off a late charge from Red Bull's other driver, Mexican Sergio Perez. The Dutchman increased his lead in the World Championship to 19 points from Hamilton with 4 races left. Before we sign off, just a quick look now at what happened at this past week, 5K Friday, brought to you by Hunt Properties. Let's see what happened. Okay, so that was a look at what happened at this last week of Friday's 5K Friday, brought to you by Hunt Properties. If you'd like to get involved, there's no reason or need to register or anything like that. Just meet down every Friday morning just before 5:30 in front of Concha Cafe in downtown Ballito, and you can enjoy a complimentary coffee at the end as well. I'm at Williams for Good Morning North Coast Sport. You have yourself an awesome sporting week, and we'll catch you back here on Friday. It's back over to Prathisha.
Welcome back, and I hope you've had an amazing, amazing morning with us on GMNC. We certainly had fun this morning. Remember, Laugh Out Larry is on a production break, so there will not be Laugh Out Larry after the show. A big, huge thank you to all our sponsors, guests, and to you, the viewer. We loved having you here. Remember, A New You, the next episode is today at 7:30 p.m., so catch that at 7:30. The music video will be by John Boucher and Rhaap. It promises to be a good one, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much and enjoy your week.
Gee my lewe rede as ek kyk in jou oë. Wil ek in drome kan glo. En as die stad my los en my niks sal kos nie, sit ek sien in die bos. Ek loop 'n tweespoorpad saam met jou in my hart. Lei my na dorre lande met eerlike hande. Net saam jou ryk, net saam jou kyk. Ek's weer tuis in my huisie in die bos. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, waar jy my kan vind. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, in die sand soos 'n kind. Ek wil hier 'n huis in die bos hê. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, waar jy my kan vind. Sit en luister jou klanke, sit die son teen die rande, waar vriende kom sit, wat saam vir een kan bid. Sal ons baie weer kuis, en my siel vind sy huis. Ek sal altyd my hart hier los. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, waar jy my kan vind. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, in die sand soos 'n kind. Ek wil hier 'n huis in die bos hê. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, waar jy my kan vind. Dis die stad as die doos is, dis so feit as 'n mos. Jy is hier in my hare, van droogse jare. Goeie water en damme, gooi my toe in jou vlamme. Ek sal altyd my hart hier los. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê. Ek wil hier 'n huis in die bos hê. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, waar jy my kan vind. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, waar jy my kan vind. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, in die sand soos 'n kind. Ek wil hier 'n huis in die bos hê. Ons almal wil huisie in die bos hê, waar jy my kan vind.